Good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About is a midweek show organized by the Trinity United Church, a live show actually, which is broadcast on all social media platforms. Over the weeks, we have talked about marriages, relationships. We discuss all issues ranging from career to everyday life and every challenge the regular Christian faces. Today, we discuss the reality of divorce, placing a particular spotlight on the legal aspect. With me are two seasoned legal practitioners. We have Ms. Sedina Beve, my name, and Mr. Kona Boni. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
We are very happy to have you, and we hope we have an insightful discussion. So we'll dive right into it. What is a divorce in its essential sense? When we talk of a divorce, what are we talking about? I'll have Sedina take that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
When we say divorce, we simply mean that it's a situation where a party to a marriage decide that he or she is no longer interested in the marriage and will make an application to the court for the dissolution of the marriage.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Boni, would you add anything?
Only to say that in Ghana, divorce is regulated by the Matrimonial Causes Act.
Okay.
This was passed in 1971, Act 367. That is the law that actually specifies the what to do or what one has to do for divorce to be granted.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. Now that you've mentioned it, what is the essential purpose for which that act was passed?
Strangely, the main aim of that act is to support the institution of marriages. You would expect otherwise, but that is what the law was set up to do. Not to undermine marriages, but to support the institution of marriage. And secondly, where everything, in spite of everything, it is impossible for the parties to stay together for an orderly and a fair and a humane way of disposing of what is called the empty shell, so that the parties can go their separate ways.
Okay. Amicably, of course. So I'd like to chip in that I'm a novice to the law, so I'll ask the questions like the layman.
But I prefer that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm good then. What are some legally accepted grounds for divorce in Ghana? Since Mr. Boni has spoken, I'll let Sedinam start off with that.
So in Ghana, there's only one ground for which a court will grant divorce.
Right.
Yeah. And that ground is that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. You've come to a point where all the parties or one of the parties have decided that he or she will not stay in the marriage again.
Okay.
Then when the application is made to the court will look at your issues and then make a determination as to whether to grant the divorce or not.
Okay.
To add to what she said,
right.
Before you hit the court to apply for, you send your divorce petition to the court, at least your marriage should not be less than 2 years old. It should be 2 years and above. So that sits in with the aims that I gave earlier, that the law tries as much as possible to safeguard the institution of marriage. And if during the hearing of the divorce petition, the judge is of the opinion that, looking at the demeanor of the parties, this marriage can be saved, they will send you back to go and attempt a settlement. So everything is done to save the marriage. They only pronounce divorce when nothing can be done. At least nothing can be done, then it is granted.
Now,
so, I want to add to that, to the fact that if you bring your petition to the court, there's one question that the court will also ask you. have you attempted to solve the issues for which you are here? So there has to be some attempt by the parties or by their families to solve the issue. But if the issue was not solved or cannot be solved, then the court
will start the proceedings. Now, I'm particularly concerned about Mr. Bonnie's submission of the 2 years caveat. What if in 2 weeks I realize that my marriage is not going to work, you know, and the differences cannot be reconciled? Does it mean I stay and wait for the 2 years to elapse before I actually go and file for the divorce?
Not exactly.
Okay.
If you, for whatever reason, of course, you think that as for this one, you need to get out and get out fast. You can go to court.
Okay.
And apply for leave. Apply for leave to file a petition within 2 years of marriage. Okay. So that is like an application. You go to the judge alone. When I say alone, like your spouse is not there with you. So you go and then convince the court that for X, Y, Z reasons, I can't possibly be expected to remain in this marriage. If the court is convinced, they would grant your application. Then you can now go back and then file the petition. Then it kickstarts the process.
Okay, Sedna wanted to say something.
Yeah, it's like giving permission. You are asking the court for permission to put in the application or the petition for
knowing
divorce.
Very well that the 2 years have not been fully exhausted. Yes. That's okay. So are there any laid down steps in filing for a divorce in Ghana? Take it.
Let me start. She will continue. Okay. Yes, to apply to file a petition, of course you have to. It should be in writing. Okay. Then you send it to the registry. There's in the court complex you have a separate registry for those things. Then they receive it and then they serve it on your spouse. Okay. Your spouse has a time frame within which to respond. So there are the petition is filed. There's a response. If there's a need for a reply, you do that. Then those things go on. These days you do something called a pre-trial. Yes. So where it's the parties and their lawyers and the judge, they meet and look at the case, all the evidence and whatever you are going to present. They examine all those things before the date for hearing of the matter is fixed. So all those things are done so that at the hearing there are no surprises. Okay. Yes. Now, Mr. Bonnie's answers keep taking me to my, my questions. So you mentioned evidence. Okay. When you say evidence, do I have to? Are there particular pieces of evidence I have to produce, or I am required to produce to the court before my divorce proceedings start? Yeah, let me see. Yes. Okay. You first you claim that you were married. Right. And now you want divorce. So there should be something that proves that you are married. So marriage certificate is one thing that you have to produce to the court or show the court that we were married on this day at this time. Then you allege that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. Okay. Why do you say that? What are the reasons that you are saying that the marriage has broken down to the extent that you do not want to stay inside? So, for example, if you claim that your wife or your husband abuses you, maybe beats you, and then there was a time where he or she gave you some beatings and you ended up at the hospital. So you must show proof that you ended up at the hospital and this is what the doctor said. So you must show something. You can't just get up today and decide that I'm no longer interested in the marriage, so I've come to the court dissolve the marriage. No, you must show proof that the marriage has gone to extent that you are no longer interested. And you've mentioned two things I want to question. Right? Interesting. What happens to the marriage certificate after the divorce? Maybe we are jumping the broom, but what happens to the marriage certificate after the divorce? Who keeps it? Do they tear it apart? The marriage certificate. Yes, because you mentioned that it will be tendered as evidence. Right? Yes. It's just to prove to the judge that you were married. So who keeps it?
after
When you are
the
finally separated, who keeps the
oh,
deposit?
it's no longer in
The
legal.
court takes its own thing back from you.
Oh, okay.
They will retrieve it from you. In fact, you wouldn't even be allowed to pick up the what do you call it, the divorce decree if you don't bring the marriage certificate.
What is the divorce decree?
Oh, okay. The order made separating the parties.
Okay.
That is the divorce decree.
Okay.
If you don't bring that the marriage certificate, the registry will ensure that they don't give you the decree. Yes, and under normal circumstances, when during trial, they will take it. But if for whatever reason you don't bring it, then they will make sure they delay it until you. Yes, they won't give you the decree until you bring it. Otherwise, you could be using it outside for other things while you are still taking the benefit of a divorce.
It's true. Now, Sadina mentioned something else. She talked about you being able to prove that you cannot reconcile. That's when the court will actually give room to your proceedings or ear to your proceedings, for lack of a better expression. Now, my question is, what if we can reconcile, but we've decided that we don't want to?
Let me correct a little impression. It's not like you need to prove that before the court goes into the matter.
Okay.
Those are the things you prove before the court will grant the order.
Okay.
So it's not a condition precedent. It's not something that you have to do before the court decides to take up your case. But during the trial, if you don't convince the judge that this we can't reconcile our differences, or you won't get the divorce decree.
Oh, maybe I tell the judge, or I prove to the judge with my husband that we can reconcile, but we do not want to.
Oh, in fact, it will not happen.
So you force me to stay married?
The only ground for which the court will grant the divorce is that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. So if he has not reached that stage, we can't grant you the divorce.
You know, I mentioned earlier that if during the proceedings the judge thinks that the marriage can be saved, they will send you back. If during the trial the judge notices that the woman tends to smile a lot more at the man, or the man is always looking at the woman when she gets up, you know, she still is receiving attention from him. Obviously, you would think that, look, this man still loves his wife. Right. They will send you back to go and try and attempt at resolving the differences.
So let me add another one. So during the trial, and then all that the court hears is the man and the woman are on vacation in Hawaii or somewhere having fun. It means that you can reconcile your differences. It means that you're good to go. So they will not grant that divorce.
Okay. So when you go and file for the divorce, before the court calls you, I will say the court calls you because I don't know what to call it, you know, and you decide that, oh, you can work it out. Do you have the opportunity to go and withdraw that petition you've made?
Yes.
Okay. What do you call that? Is there anything
you
call
withdraw
it? You withdraw your petition for divorce. Okay.
You can abandon it too.
If you file a process in the court and you don't pursue it just does a natural.
Okay. That's okay. Okay, so in Ghana, is there any specific duration for divorce proceedings?
No, there's no specific.
So you can take a lifetime?
No, definitely. Litigation will come to an end.
Okay.
It must come to an end. So.
But don't be surprised. The case can start and end up at the Supreme Court. And to travel all the way to the Supreme Court, it takes a long time. So it can be in court for so many years. But of course, there will be one day where it will come to an end.
Now, as lawyers, you handle very sensitive information, especially in divorces, of course. Are you made to sign non-disclosure agreements, or you are made to swear oaths of secrecy before you start maybe pursuing my case?
Fundamentally, everything a lawyer does is confidential. Lawyers are among the people who are expected to keep secrets.
Okay.
So you must keep secrets all the time, particularly people's secrets. And you can, in fact, not that you can, you would lose your license if you divulge people's secrets without their consent, you would lose your license. It's so basic. So we don't do it for as in case by case basis. It's there. It's part of the ethics of the profession. It binds you till you decide to till you are called.
What if? So a funny instance just came to my mind. What if, as the lawyer, you want to become the arbitrator? So you want to get me talking. Your wife still loves you. Why don't you call her? You know, talk it out and stuff. Have there been cases like that?
No. If you think that the parties can resolve their issue, you can ask the court to send the parties to ADR.
Okay.
That is Alternative Dispute Resolution, where there'll be a mediator that will be appointed by the court to help them resolve the issue. But you are a lawyer to one party. How then would you go and
call them?
Yes. Actually, it's even a misconduct to talk to the other party in the absence of the other party's lawyer.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Okay.
So the lawyers can talk, the parties can talk, but the lawyer for the man cannot talk to the woman in the absence of the woman's lawyer.
Okay.
You will be sanctioned.
Okay. Now it is established that the lawyers are not supposed to talk, right? You know,
as
review
the
yes.
Lawyers, our primary job is to talk. So
yes,
we are paid
of course.
to talk.
I mean, you know, the issues concerning the separation, you're not supposed to, be spilling the information to the other party.
No.
What if the parties themselves are discussing the case?
Is their case?
So they are allowed.
Yes.
Lawyer,
to discuss strategies and all of that.
If you are not laughing at me, you know, the parties can talk among themselves at any time, including midnight. Just the two of them.
Yes.
If they do all those things, then they are on the road to reconciling.
Yes.
So that's
so
for
good.
that.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
It is good.
Okay.
But as to between their lawyers and the parties, as for that one, you'll be in trouble. Okay. Yes.
So I'll take a second of your time. We are live on our social media platforms, both on Facebook and YouTube. Trinity United Church Legon, Facebook and YouTube. You can also send your questions and comments to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996 0501 579 996. Thank you. We are back. Now, in the case where one party files for the divorce, right, and the other party is unwilling to grant it, if that is right.
No.
Let me finish. How do you handle that?
Oh, the divorce is granted by a court. So one party cannot grant.
It's not up to the party.
No, it's not up to one party to grant the other party divorce
refuse.
or refuse to grant. It is at the discretion of the court. So you bring your issues to the court, and then the court will look at it. And if the court is satisfied that this marriage must be dissolved, the court will do it. So it's not about, I will not give you the divorce, I will not sign the divorce papers. It's not about that. It lies in the bosom of the judge that you are before.
So we only see those things are just movies, eh?
Yes, basically. Yes, they are just movies.
See why Let's Talk About is good. I always thought one party would have to, grant the divorce to the other.
No.
Okay, but what if the party who didn't file the divorce? Okay, let me say the party who is being served, is that right?
Respondent.
The respondent is refusing to be responsive. Like the respondent he is. How do you handle that? He refuses to show up to court. He's not ready to, listen to anything, attend any disposition or whatsoever if there's any. How do you deal with something like that?
A case against you in court can progress with or without you. If you decide to make yourself, we call it unavailable. You are there, but you are not willing to cooperate with the process. The case will
go on without you.
Yes, there are even situations where parties misbehave when a hearing is going on. The judge can send you out.
Okay.
And the case will go on.
Now, when you say the case will go on,
yes.
Misbehavior and uncooperative behaviors, can those things lead to the order not being in your favor?
No.
Can you be
There are
unresponsive and still
there are
get...
consequences for that behavior.
But it may not
It
influence
will not
the
affect,
judgment.
yes, it will not affect the...
Right. Okay, we have a question already. Nana Adobia Brown says, benefits of a divorce. What are some of those? So we'll take from both my lady and my lord.
So benefits, you were once single.
Okay.
And you became two. Or you got married.
Okay.
Now, if the marriage is dissolved, you become what?
Single.
So, well, it's not really a benefit, but that's one of the things I would say. If you think that the marriage is taking a toll on you, and there are health issues, there are life-threatening issues, then one of the benefits from getting out of that marriage will be to bring your life together for all that has happened.
I am wondering whether maybe Adobia is thinking in terms of what properties and stuff that you get as a result of it.
If that's what she's asking, we will come to that.
Well,
Okay.
Okay. But is that all you want to say, Mr. Bobby?
oh, well, it's not so much of a benefit per se, but as she said, if there must be something pushing you out of the relationship.
Right.
So if you succumb to that pressure and you exit, then perhaps what you want has come true for you. But I don't see it as maybe
having any benefits.
Yes.
Okay, because I think marriage is an institution that should be preserved. Yes. Now we have another question. Mami Sewa says, from your experience, what engagements or actions from couples who are working what are some benefits from a divorce? I think we just touched on that. But she says from your experience, so the benefits, now you gave us one benefit or two. Are those from experience? Like from your cases, the cases you've handled, those are benefits. Okay, Mr. I think we have your answer. Now we talked about evidence, right? Can you give us some examples? So I'm in an abusive marriage and I want a divorce. What are some of the things you consider as evidence, or what are some of the things you would admit into evidence in my divorce proceeding?
Just about, I think she mentioned if your husband is being abusive, he beats you up and things like that. Definitely, you should go to the hospital for to be treated. There would be a medical report of the doctor having examined you and write. Those documents can be tendered in evidence, in proof the behavior of your spouse, for which the court should grant you the divorce. So just about anything. It's not always the case that you can have a physical evidence. Sometimes if it's an emotional abuse, for instance, you don't have it on record. Yes, but if the court thinks that whoever is treating you for those things should be called, those people can be served or they can be subpoenaed to come and give evidence in your case. So actually, evidence is not something in particular, but everything that will lead to prove your case to the court, everything that will lead to the court would want to see, that would make the court make up its mind. That is evidence, yes, to grant divorce. Okay,
so we have another question. Mami Sewa says, from your experience, what engagements or actions from couples who are working on getting a divorce cause them to rescind their decision? I think you touched on a bit of that about the man still admiring the woman and all of that. But the vacation, right, and the pregnancies and all of that. But are there any others?
Oh, well,
practical ones.
I know of a case from a senior colleague who, I understand, was driving from Accra to Kumasi, and he, there are various rest stops. He branched to a restaurant and saw the man having at the table eating and having seriously intimate conversations. He called the lawyer on the other side and said, "What? We are making a fool out of ourselves. They are here having fun." Oh. So things like this can lead to the parties rescinding their decision to maybe go through with the process. Not necessarily external, the parties themselves. You mentioned earlier that the court thinks that, look, from your demeanor, you are no more interested in pursuing the case that you filed. You know, when you are in court for divorce, once you see the parties troop into the judge's chambers, you know you are in for business.
Okay.
When you look at their demeanor, you know.
Do they wear a frown before coming in? Most of them do.
Oh, not most of them. Sometimes.
But haven't you met couples who are still friends but want to separate?
Well, the time that the divorce is ongoing, it's difficult.
It's difficult. It's
Yes.
scarce.
To answer her question too, if you came to the court because of some issues, and then maybe through those issues have been resolved,
right?
what do? You rescind
Your decision.
your decision to go ahead. So sometimes it's not always that the court will grant. Sometimes they will come. But if those issues they brought before the court are resolved, then they rescind and go back and enjoy their marriage.
Okay. So Nana Dobia Brown, the woman who asked of the benefits, she says Mr. Bonnie intimated that the marriage certificate will be taken away from the couple because you can't be using the certificate for something whilst enjoying the benefits of divorce. I think we mentioned that we were clear on that. I don't get...
Yes, I see that more as a comment.
Yes. Nana Dobia, please let us have your question. Now, our minister in charge, Reverend Dr. Martin Obing, says, good discussion. Thank you, Papa. What if the children do not want their parents to divorce?
The children are not the parties to the marriage.
Goodness, I was just about saying the parties cannot even decide how it should go.
Let me say, children can be a reason why parties will not divorce.
Right.
Because the divorce has impact on the life of the children. As when the divorce is ongoing, there are process as to who takes care of the kids, who will the kids be with, who will control, custody will come in. So sometimes some of the parties will look at the children and decide
to stay together.
Yeah, let's resolve the issue because of the kids. Then we move ahead.
Okay.
It can be a huge challenge, the issue of who is going to keep the children. In fact, from experience, children custody and the property settlement, those are the issues that make divorce whether simple or bitter.
There you go, answering my question if I ask them.
Some can be very bitter.
Okay.
Very bitter, and it's all about the children. I want to retain control of the child. I want to raise them. She also wants to raise them, or he also wants to raise them, and it can make
the whole thing complicated.
Very, very, very.
We have another question from Brian Echampong. He says, if both parties have come to an agreement, what is the use of the court? I think Sadie touched on that about the ADR. She said if you are able to resolve the issue there, you can just let it go.
Yes, but you see, if there are situations where, in fact, we try as much as possible, where there are children and properties, we try to see if the parties themselves can agree on what to do. I am doing a couple of cases where even before the petitioner came to me to instruct for divorce, he brought a draft terms of settlement. He brought a draft terms of settlement with the petition, with the instructions. And his instructions were that they had discussed everything. They had agreed on everything. They just want to separate. Okay. So they have to go to court by all means to separate. Yes. But unfortunately for him, the response that I got to the petition was terrible, very terrible. So I told him, you see, it's not as simple as sometimes you think. So if to make progress in that particular case, I have to go back to amend the petition. Because the things that he told me, which I suppressed because I wanted to be nice, so that they can just separate on good terms, none of those things is in the petition.
Okay.
So these are some of the...
He said if the parties have agreed, why the court?
Yes.
If you have agreed to dissolve your marriage, you need a court order.
To separate.
You need a court. You can't just say, get up today and say, the two of us, we don't want to be together. Then you just go. There's a certificate that was given to you when you got married. That certificate must be taken, and then the marriage must be declared dissolved.
Okay.
So you still need the court if the
Okay.
parties have agreed.
Okay. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a court proceeding. You go to the court and all of that. But
You will
even
still go through a
if,
proceeding.
even if the ADR works, or you decide
No,
at home,
not the ADR.
Okay.
The parties have agreed to divorce.
On
So
their own.
why do we go? The question is, the parties have agreed to. Why do we go to court?
Okay.
You will go to court for the court to grant an order to dissolve the marriage.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. it's hard to understand some of these things. But we'll be going for a break shortly. When we come back, we'll take more questions and answers. Viewers, please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Good evening. Welcome back. My name is Sedinam Togola Madeku. Today we are talking about the reality of divorce. For those who are still tuned in, we are grateful you are. If you just joined, you are welcome. Now we are back. We'll start off with a question. Daniel Beku says, what is your take on promise to marry? Say a couple have toiled for a while with the intention of getting married and one party decides to take a left turn. What are the options for such person? So for such person, I'm sure he means the disappointed party. What happens next? Because they have not married.
Yes.
They decided to marry. Let me not answer the question. Said
So this is, they are in the process.
Yes.
They've not gotten to the position where they are married.
Okay.
So there's nothing like divorce.
Okay.
But in this situation, if you have promised someone or someone promised to marry you, and in the process the person decides not to marry you again, and you feel that you are grieved and you want the court to compensate you, there's an opportunity for you to go to the court.
Monetary compensation. Would that heal my heart?
Well, apart from that, what else do you want?
I think you can sponsor yourself on a vacation and cry there.
Actually,
Take
there are numerous cases of it's called the breach of promise to marry. Yes. There's one in the news lately, judgment of the Supreme Court. So it's gone all over from the High Court all the way to the Supreme Court. So it's not a joke. You can be sued if you lead someone on. The person has been with you, you've traveled together, you've gone several places, and look, now everybody knows you.
You give it promise ring.
Promise ring. Then all of a sudden one day you marry someone else. The lady usually is the ladies who
That's
Who are
not fair, Mr. Boni.
Oh no, usually I don't often see the men going to make a promise to marry.
They move on fast.
So usually, so you could be taken on, and so if that person is having that kind of experience, or you can tell the person that look, there's a remedy. you can take on the person. Of course, the court will not compel the man to marry you.
No.
It doesn't have, because a marriage is a consensual relationship.
Right.
So if one party pulls out, that is it. But there will be consequences for changing your mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we have another question. Letitia says, what is the legal cost of pursuing divorce? This is interesting. Is there anything like the way you're going to buy your bold straight hair, you know, it's 5,000 cedis, whatever you do to be between a range? Do you have anything like that for divorce proceedings?
It's a case-by-case basis.
A lawyer by lawyer.
But there's a range.
Yes.
Okay, tell
Yes,
me.
because the what do you call it? The bar association has a scale of fees. That's
We work
and
with-
interestingly, you only have problems when you go above it. Often when you are within it, you don't have too much issues. But if you overcharge, like you go above that range, and then it's difficult to mention a particular amount. That's why I said it depends on case by case. I mean, case by case basis. Sometimes there are some we do it, and you're looking at the party, you have to even do it pro bono free.
Pro bono.
So it's unfair to us to pigeonhole us into a particular how much does it cost.
Okay, now Mr. Boni, you mentioned overcharge. I have to know what the right amount is before I can use overcharge or undercharge. So who tells me what I'm supposed to pay? Is it publicized at the court? Who tells me about it?
It's the what do you call it? The scale of fees is something I can refer at yes, and then put out the range, because it gives the range for a case in the High Court, a case in the several levels.
court.
Yes. So and it gives those ranges and what is the recommended charge.
Okay.
You only,
That's
as I
okay.
said, you only have issues when you overshoot. If
Okay.
you are within.
Then it's not fair, because if you undercharge or you do pro bono, no one takes you on
Actually,
for
there
that.
should be punishment
For
For
pro
under-
bono.
undercharging.
yes, but it doesn't. Oh, pro bono is different.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
But you know, when they give you a range for a reason.
Okay.
But they don't often punish people for undercharging.
Okay.
At least I've never heard it.
Yeah, because sometimes you have to look at the party that is before you. If the party is in no ways of
Paying you.
or if you cannot afford that amount, then you
You have to. That's okay. I think we can always put a human face to some of these things. We have another question from Barry Ofe Owusu. He says, there has been a notion that the divorce rate is extremely high, with people queuing to get divorced. Is it that bad? You are laughing.
the queue.
That's why he said it's a notion. He's thinking it. Also, what has been the most common reasons for divorce from experience?
I don't have the statistics,
Yeah.
so I can't. I don't even want to hazard
Can you
a
speak
guess.
to the queuing? Is it true?
Oh, well, when you go to the divorce
He said he
registry,
can't wait.
when you go to the divorce registry, of course, all the courts that I mean visit for whatever case are always packed
Okay.
with cases.
Okay.
So, but it's difficult to speak
tell,
as to whether
right.
it is increasing or it is decreasing,
Okay.
because there has to be some kind of analysis to compare against previous
I get the
years.
stats.
Yes, but all the time when you go to the divorce registry or the divorce courts, the judges are always overwhelmed with cases. And
I also think that most of the courts, they have separate days for
Very well.
divorce.
Yes.
So maybe if a court maybe has Wednesday for divorce, so that Wednesday only divorce cases will be heard. So because of that, when you go to the court, you might see a lot of people there. So you might think that they are queuing, but it's just that day is for divorce
It's for
cases.
divorce
That's why you
cases,
might
yes.
see
Those
that.
people
Yeah.
over there.
Yes.
Okay.
I think there was another part of the question. The question that she just
He was saying, is it that bad?
okay.
No, divorce is bad.
No, he's talking about the queues for the divorce.
And
Like
I've
people
explained
queue.
that is because that day
Day
is
is
just
for-
for divorce cases. So
It
you,
looks like
yes,
a lot
it
of
looks
people
like
are-
it, but it's not really bad.
Yes. Now we may come back to the divorce proceeding and the pre-divorce proceeding, but the aftermath. What happens when children are involved, when property is involved. We hear of prenuptial agreements and all of that. Are they a thing in Ghana? If they are, what are they?
really.
And all of that.
It's not popular.
It's like-
Prenuptial, starting from there, is not popular in Ghana. It's not popular in Ghana. You know, the way we are socialized in marriage, in our traditional setup in Ghana, you don't often see people going into marriage with the intention of let me be guarded. It's like someone trying to have a bath during the Harmattan. You first try with your finger,
To see how
and then
cold the water is.
no. So it will be strange for someone in our part of the world to have that kind of idea. People will wonder what is wrong with you. That is why I think prenuptial agreements are not that popular in Ghana.
But shouldn't they be?
Well, if you ask me, you know, one reason why I think divorce is is extremely stressful is because of the way marriage is.
Okay.
The two shall become one. You have become one for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And then you are separating. It's like trying to separate Gary from sand. They are mixed. It's not that easy. So that is what makes the process difficult. Now, if you have a prior agreement when you are entering the relationship that this is how we are going to treat the properties that we had before we are entering. So it's like you have an agreement between the two of you before you enter. Well, the courts, I have never dealt with one, but I don't see the situation where the court will reject it.
Okay.
Have you?
No.
So
I don't
would
see
you,
where
would you as lawyers advise having such an agreement before you get married?
I
Because
wouldn't
to be honest,
advise.
I think it's just like buying a funeral policy when you're 30 years old, that when I die, so and so funeral home should come and bury me, because you don't want to overburden someone and all of that.
Are you going into the marriage with the intention of divorcing one day?
But you're preparing for the rainy day.
Oh,
That's
the
how-
foundation of marriage and then the Christian way, we don't have that thinking that it will end.
no
It is
rainy
only death that will do.
Separate us.
Yes. So I wouldn't advise that you take that route.
But in sitting with the topic we are discussing, the reality of divorce, if you want me to think as a lawyer, you know, I am being very guarded because of the platform I am on. But in thinking as a lawyer without a lawyer unhinged, from what I see when it comes to custody, when it comes to property settlement, it will make things definitely simpler if that kind of agreement is there. It would.
I agree.
It would. But I also started by saying that it will be strange. I'll look at I'll be very suspicious of the person I'm going out with if he or she starts talking about this even before before you tie yourself in that manner. I'll be very much suspicious. That is me. I'll be suspicious. But thinking as a lawyer, I think that it will be easier to have a
Roadmap or draw something.
She calls it the roadmap.
To the marriage.
Okay, so now let's delve more into the custody aspect. Custody. How are these things handled in the court? How does the court determine which parent keeps who and what? You said you should speak to it first.
Okay, so when we look at the court, will look at the best interest of the children. That is what the law says, custody. You have to look at the best interest of the children. Sometimes they lean more towards the women. But where the woman has demonstrated that she cannot take care of the child, it might go towards the man. But it's all up to the court and then the evidence you bring before the court. Sometimes the parties might agree that, oh, okay, it should be with the man or the woman. The court will adopt that agreement. But most of the time, when they give one person custody, they will definitely give access to the other party to also have opportunity to have their kids with them. Maybe if their kids are with their father, for example, and they are going to school on vacation or on weekends, they might go to the mother.
Who makes that arrangement? Maybe 2 days for mommy, 2 days for daddy. Who makes the arrangement? The court or the parents are allowed?
The parents can.
Okay.
They can come to that agreement and then put it before the court, and then the court will adopt it. Sometimes, if they are not able to agree, the court will make that decision for them.
Okay. So a quick one. I'll come back to Mr. Bonnie, so please prepare your answer. So the Trinity United Church Youth Choir is inviting the entire public and the church to an anniversary concert on the 13th of August, dubbed Cantate Deo. And our theme is Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name, Psalm 29, verse 2. It is happening on Saturday, as I've said, on the 13th of August. A banner is showing on your screen currently. You can look at it and see the details at 5:30 p.m. prompt. 5:30 p.m. prompt. Cantate Deo. We are singing praises to the Lord. Please join us. And I know my lady and Lord will be there.
We will be there.
Thank you. Now we're back. Mr. Bonnie, your contribution.
My learned friend mentioned the situation of whatever the court will do, it should be in the best interest of the child. When there are children in a marriage and the marriage is being dissolved, that is the primary aim of the court. It is not what the father feels or what the mother feels.
Right.
What is in the best interest of the child? That is the fundamental principle the court considers. So if it is in the best interest of the child that the child should be taken from the mother and given to the father, the court will do it. I've done it before. There were 4 children. 3 of them were living with the father. That young one, the last one, who was just about 3 years, the court made the order that she should be taken from the mother and given to the father. You know why? When the social worker was visiting the woman and the child, she just went with a piece of bread. Apparently, the way the child tore the bread into pieces, the woman concluded that the child is
starving.
Maybe she's just a child that accepts gifts.
Is it when a child is hungry, you will know?
Oh. Okay.
So the judge had no qualms at all saying, take one child out of 4. She was just keeping that. Took from her all the 4 children to the father. So these are the things that the court considers. If it will help the child, they will do it. It is not whether I feel aggrieved, or there was another case where the man says he's a Muslim. He wants to raise his child as a Muslim. Too bad. You knew your wife was a Christian before you got married. Now you are separating. The child is young. There's no, you haven't remarried. Young, these days, there's so much abuse of little children in the news. So it is hard for courts to just give a child who is very young to the father. They'll first find out how you will take care of the child.
Okay.
If you can't, they would not take that risk. There are situations where people take the children and the men take them to their mothers. Between the mother, that's the child's grandmother.
Right.
Now, between the mother of the child and the grandmother, who should the child be with? Unless the mother is irresponsible, the court will insist that the child should be with the mother.
Okay, so I was going to ask, what if there's a situation whereby the proceedings have ended, right, and the court realizes that both parents are irresponsible? I think that there have been situations like that. Both parents are irresponsible. Now there's no granny and there's no grandpa. Is there anything like social service in Ghana?
Social welfare.
Social welfare, where they take their children to.
There is.
That's why you should try as much as possible not to get divorced.
Or to marry a responsible person. I think Sadie wants to say that he's saying we shouldn't divorce.
So it's possible if the court thinks that the 2 parties, maybe for want of a better example, the father is alcoholic, the mother is a drug addict. There's no way the court would make a child live in such an environment. if there is no extended family to take charge, then they will make the child a child of the state, right?
Yes.
And then the social
Welfare.
people will take care of the child.
But not to make dumbfounded allegations, but we've also heard and seen cases of foster homes treating children badly.
Oh yes.
You know,
Yes.
parents, we've heard parents also abusing their children, but there's some parental instinct that makes you treat that child right. So if you're taking the person to a foster home, like, are there people who go and check on them periodically to make sure that they are going to the right schools, they are being fed well and all of that? Who does that? Or once the proceedings end and they are taken to the foster home, that's it?
Not the foster home, the social welfare.
Social
It's a
welfare.
whole department.
And
They
people
have-
live there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They have people who take care of the children from infancy to the time that they can live on their own. Yes.
The
Okay.
closest that comes to mind is the one at Osu.
Osu Children's Home.
Osu Children's Home. They have staff who live there with them and actually take care of all aspects of their life. So
Okay.
and they have checks and balances. They have supervision. They are not onto themselves.
Okay.
So there's but of course it doesn't always prevent the
Some of
abuse
these things
that
from
you have.
happening.
Some of these kids are also adopted by other people
Okay.
who need children.
Okay. Has there been a case where in the custody hearing, there's a hearing for that? Is there a hearing?
It's
Oh
in
yes,
the
it's
divorce-
part of the
It's part
divorce
of the
process,
proceeding.
Yes.
The
The
kids-
judge can ask you to address the court on those aspects. In
Okay.
fact, it's even in your interest if you are making your case. When you know that your client wants custody of the child, you have to hammer on still the virtues of your client, which you think will lead to the court granting
The custody to
the custody.
the client.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I have a question, but one of our viewers, Estanza, says, very important topic to me. Please, can I have their numbers? I'm at work, but I'm steady. Why do you charge fees for the numbers?
No,
Okay.
we don't.
Okay,
Not at
so
all.
you will leave your numbers with us
Good,
so
yes.
that they can reach you.
Very
I think
well.
we have one client, my percentage.
He's taking now.
No,
It's important.
she will join and
Yes,
then
very
she see how
soon.
it
We'll
is.
join. So we'll take Reverend Dr. Martin Obin's second question, then we'll continue. If the court grants divorce and after some time the parties decide to remarry the same partner, do they start all over?
Definitely.
There's no bar.
Yeah.
There's no bar to remarry.
Yeah.
And well, yes, in terms of publication of bans, you have to, yes, honestly, you have to
It's
go
good.
through all that, because the pronouncement of the divorce decree ended everything that you had before. So if you are coming back together, just that on the declarations that you fill, now you describe yourself as a
Divorcee.
divorcee and then that sort of thing, so that your status is clearly noted. But the law doesn't bar the parties from remarrying.
Now taking us back to
When you realize you made a mistake, of course you can
Sakofa.
always come.
who will pay for the damages?
Oh, which damages?
Oh,
The money you spent and all of that.
to go back to what you spat out, it must be because that thing you realize you
It's very
lost
important.
something big. So you clean it and put
You
it
invite
back
your
where.
lawyers to your second
Yes.
wedding. That would be really nice.
And this time around, it will be forever.
Yes, we hope so. So, taking us back to the custody hearing, right? The custody proceedings. In the case where the children are of age, right, they can speak for themselves and all of that. Are they allowed to choose which parents to live with?
Yes, I've done one case before where, in the presence of the parties, the judge invited the
children.
child. She would have been about 10 or thereabouts, and just asked basic questions. Not the courts try as much as possible not to poison the children against either parent, even if we know very well that one party is being the problem. The person will always be either a father or a mother. So they always try to prevent that kind of poisoning. But where they want to know the views of the children, they ask them. The social welfare officers interview them. and they make recommendations to the
court.
court. And if the judge wants to hear from the children themselves, they can invite them. I've seen it at least on one occasion where the judge was minded to find out from this girl who she wants to spend vacations with and things like that, where she wants to stay, that sort of thing. Basic, yes.
Now, to make an open statement, children can be easily manipulated.
Oh, yes.
Mommy will catch you, some give you calipo that when you go to the judge, tell him that I'm nice, you know, daddy beats me up and all of that. I'm sure things like that happen. So how do you verify the child's testimony?
So as he said, it is for the best interest of the child. So the judge will look at all situations. Even your income will come in, the income of the parties will come in, where they live, where are they going to live, when the marriage is dissolved, where are they going to live. All those things come in before the judge will make such a decision. So sometimes inviting the kids is just for something little, not what the child will say is what will form what the orders the judge will give.
Okay, even they may influence it in a way.
Not maybe to make certain orders, but not influence.
Okay. Now, our viewer, Charles says, can you shed some light on prenups? I think we touched on it. I mentioned it. Sadie didn't say anything to it, so I'll let Sadie say something to it, because she doesn't think that you should have a prenuptial agreement before you get married. that was quite clear.
Yeah, I don't think you should have that.
Even though you don't like it, tell us something about it. What is it? How does it work?
So it's maybe when, we are in this marriage, but before we go into the marriage, when we decide to go our separate ways, these are the way we are going to share our properties. Or before you came in, I had $1 million. When we decide to get divorced, you are not getting anything out of my money. So it's just an agreement between the two people on what will happen when they decide to go their separate way. That's all. Yes.
In fact, to add to what she said, is they can agree to anything so long as it is not illegal. Yeah. So if they have an agreement as to how they will share their money, or who will keep what, when, and that sort of thing, so long as these are not illegal contracts, because illegal contracts cannot be enforced, then it would be enforced. At least that's what I think. Okay,
that's good. I think Charles has his answer. Now, we've spoken about the children a lot. What about property? In 2 or a few minutes, tell us how the property is distributed. Is there a particular ratio? Maybe if the woman is filing, she will get maybe 5 is to this. If the man is filing, how is it done?
So properties, let's say before the marriage, both parties might have acquired some property. During the marriage, they might also have acquired properties. So we are looking at properties that was acquired during the marriage.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a presumption that properties acquired during the marriage belongs to both parties. But yeah, it's a joint property.
Right.
But where one party can prove that I bought this property alone without the help of the other, then the court might take that and give it to that person and share the rest according to how the court wants to do it. There's nothing like, okay, let's say 50-50 every time. It's mostly case-by-case basis. And then there must be contribution to the making of the property. So let's say during the marriage, the parties acquired property at East Legon, and then it was in the name of the man. Yeah. So now during divorce, the woman will say, during the marriage, I was also part of making of that property. Then the man will say, no, I bought that property alone with my own money, without contribution.
Who do you believe?
It's up to the court to look at the situation. How did you get the property? Where did the money come from? What was the contribution of the woman? For instance, if you bought the land, you were building it, then the woman, your wife, went there to even speak to the workers and then help them, or cook for them, all part of contribution. Let's say you go to work. Let's say the woman is a housewife. You go to work. By the time you come home, she has prepared your dinner, cleaned the house, give you peace of mind for you to go out there and work. All those things, the court says they are all parts of contribution. So it is case by case basis, and the court will look at the situation and then make a pronunciation on the properties.
To add to what she said, I think that we have come a long way when it comes to property issues during a divorce. We have come from the situation where a party must prove substantial contribution to a property to be able to get something out of it. So often it was the women who were losing out. So, but we have come to the point where the courts are willing to even consider sometimes sharing the marital property 50-50. Is happening in some cases. So, but as she said, it is not cast in stone. It's case by case. So don't go thinking that when you are divorcing, you are going to get half this property, the property, or that you get the substantial part of it, whilst your spouse will get the shorter end of it and things like that. It's not cast in. It's not a mathematical formula that you have to follow all the time.
Now that you've mentioned mathematics, there's another question, but I want to ask a question. It may not be practical, but in the situation where the couple or the marriage is young, right, and they have just one property, the house is not a piece of cake. They can't slice it into two and give, how is that worked out? Do they sell the property? Are the parties, asked to decide how they want to share it? I'm answering my own question.
Yes, let's put it that way.
Oh, it's fine.
So the court might make pronunciations. The court might say that sell the property and share the money this way. One party might say that, okay, I want to buy the property at the value that the court is saying, and then I'll give you your share. So it's all depend on what is before the court. Then they make pronunciations on it.
So, but actually, if it's one, as you said, and you can make an offer to the other side and buy the person out, it's always better and good. Yes,
it makes it easy.
Very much so. That is why I think you like your prenups, right?
Just to be safe. Okay, we have a question. Misty says, will I be right to conclude that as Christians it is best to stay married considering the hassle?
What hassle?
I want to ask what the hassle is. Because he said he sees divorce as separating two plain sheets that have been glued together. Because sorry for calling you Sedina. Sedina made it clear that the Bible doesn't permit divorce. Not clear cut, but marriage should, So he is asking that should you stay married because you are Christian? Should you stay married?
From the beginning, I said that if it's a matter of life and death, why would you be there? If your life is at risk, why would you stay in? So it depends on the situation. If you can't, you can't. But if it's not just you are no longer interested for no reason, then you want the dissolution of the marriage. No. If there are serious issues that prevents you from being in the marriage, then we have to go for dissolution.
To be honest, I'm no longer interested, so I cannot divorce. No. I don't get it all. Maybe we are friends, but we can't stay married. The marriage is not working.
For what reason?
Hey, my own marriage. But the law is the law. We have another question. Kaki Okanse says, can I marry whilst having when I want to reframe his question. When your divorce proceedings are taking forever, can you be married another person?
No, you are still married until the court grants the divorce.
So it takes 15 years.
You are still married until that order is given.
It's not the case that it's usually if the case itself, if other issues in the divorce are making it complicated, the courts often grant the order for divorce. No, first your reliefs. You want an order for divorce, custody, property, and etc. So the custody and other things are becoming complicated. The both parties, in fact, even the judge can decide that, look, okay, I am granting the order for divorce. So with that one, you can take it and run with it. You are no longer married in the, then you can move with that.
Yeah.
But those other issues they can continue for how long and then be dealt with.
But can the proceedings be fastened because you go and see the judge and see, I want to
I want
marry
to
you,
get married.
fasten this thing and let me go. Like, would that work?
No, there's a procedure, and there are time limits to those procedures, so you must just go through the
So
procedure.
yeah, your other wife. Is that why people were married secretly when they are, trying to get divorced?
I don't know about that
That's
one.
what I don't know how secret.
I'll let you speak to it. We have another question. I think we've touched on it, but I'll just mention. It says, Julius Kashi says, by default, do courts favor mothers in custody cases in a divorce? I think
Not necessarily. I mentioned my case, one example where, as I said, the court took of 4 children. The court took even the last one that was with the mother and gave the child to the father.
Okay, but Sandy also said the court leans towards mothers.
Oh,
I'm leaning
Yes.
when the
practicality
children are
so that
when the children are very young.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why we said the cardinal principle is what is in the best interest of the
The
child.
children. Okay.
So if the children are very young and the judge thinks that, look, this child is too young to be taken from
The mother.
to live with someone else. Even there are situations where mentally disturbed mothers, they are allowed to keep their babies until it is safe to take them from
Them.
Yes. Otherwise, so look, there's no substitution for motherhood. Though.
Yeah.
Am I putting it well?
Yeah, right.
There's no substitute for that.
But,
So
but the court can take away the child from the mother if it is shown that the mother cannot take care of the child. They have seen a situation where a child of 18 months was taken away from the mother because it was shown that she cannot take care of the child by herself.
Okay, so in that case, who breastfeeds the baby, or should be taking baby formula? Some people still breastfeed their children to their feet.
Yes, yeah. The child will be taken care of.
My goodness, I can't even imagine it. Well, Kofi Amankwa has a question. He says it looks like it is the men who usually part ways with their property. This is such an allegation. Goodness. Is it some hidden rule that it is the man's possessions that should be shared? Is that true?
No, we've not said that here.
No.
He's trying to insinuate that women like marrying rich men.
Oh!
Yeah, because he
know-
says it's the men whose possessions are, divided.
Not exactly.
No.
I recently had an instruction where the stronger party in the relationship is the woman, and when I told her that this is how it will go, that was the end of the.
Should he come back?
I built it myself. Oh yes, during the marriage. So,
Okay. Let me go and talk it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kofi, it's not the man's properties that are shared, okay? Whoever has, whatever is accrued during the marriage.
Yes.
Now, when we started, we talked about the court's essential purpose for the Marriages Act?
The Matrimonial Causes Act,
Matrimonial
yes.
Causes Act
Yes.
is to preserve the marriage.
Yes.
What influence would the court's order to the effects of the divorce have on the traditional marriage?
Oh no.
Said it.
What
Take it.
do you mean by traditional marriage?
Now, the traditional marriage is where you come to the family to make your intentions known. You bring the drinks, they take the drinks. What we call engagements nowadays.
Yes, that's the tradition.
Now, that's, for me, is marriage enough.
It is.
It
When they
is.
accept the dowry, you present the dowry, they accept it. You can go home with your wife, and then there comes the marriage under ordinance, for which reason we are sitting here.
Yeah.
Now, when you dissolve that marriage in court, you've not sent the bottle of schnapps back to the
So
So
when
that is
you
my
move
question.
the traditional marriage to ordinance, then it's now an ordinance marriage.
Okay.
The traditional marriage is basically, let's say, gone.
It
Okay, so
ceases
the
to
court does
exist.
not concern
Yes,
itself
with that
the
one, yes.
traditional marriage.
Yes. So if you marry at customary law and then you decide to do the ordinance, as you said, that one is forever gone. But if you can choose to end a marriage that was celebrated at customary law
Yes, I was
in the
able
court,
to ask that.
you can do that. But you cannot end ordinance marriage by just
Taking drinks.
returning the drinks. No, it has to be a court order.
What if the one accepting the drinks is a lawyer?
Oh,
Don't mind me.
What you have to do is that even if the person accepting the drinks is the judge, it's still not.
Until
yes.
the court proceeding.
Yeah.
Yes. So there has to be a particular, whatever a court, we call something a court of competent jurisdiction. It's not for fun. Whatever a court does, which it doesn't have the power to do, is a nullity. So the person has to be sitting as a judge with clerks and whatever before that order, if it is made, can be effective. Otherwise.
Now, we've heard a lot today. I'll have both of you speak to this question. Do courts deliberately frustrate divorce parties so that they do not divorce? Because it is so obvious. You are representing the court at the moment, and you're making it so clear to me that you don't want us to divorce. Let's talk it out. Let's work it out. That's what we've got. Do you frustrate the parties so they do not divorce?
No,
not exactly.
Frustrate.
Not exactly frustration.
Okay, Mr. Boni, what do you do?
When I say not exactly frustrating,
There's some frustration
oh
in there.
no, there are required steps that you need to take, and there are deliberately built-in timelines. So you need to file a petition. The respondent needs to be served, and the respondent has to enter appearance within 8 days. After that, the respondent has 14 days within which to file a response to the petition. You can file a reply. Then you go through a pre-trial settlement, which can take. So sometimes you think that
to frustrate you on their own.
It's the procedure. I don't.
You're admitting there's some frustration.
I'm just uncomfortable with the word frustration.
So use the word you're comfortable.
There's no frustration. It's just the procedure. So when you follow it, you just go straight to the point.
That's the procedure.
So can the
you may feel that it's a frustration. I won't quarrel with your feelings, but I will tell you that this is. Sometimes when you don't do it in accordance with the procedure, that itself can be set aside. It means that your divorce was not done in accordance with the law. It can be set aside. So it is rather in your interest to ensure that it is done in accordance with the law, so that if indeed you are walking away, you live with your peace of mind.
Let me talk about this experience. So a gentleman took a petition to the court for divorce. Then the respondent responded. Then he was asked to file witness statement to state his case. So in the witness statement, the gentleman wrote that he's no longer interested in the marriage and that there are so many issues he doesn't want to talk about.
Why?
You state that in your witness statement that there are so many issues you do not want to talk about. You don't want to commit bigamy, but so the court should dissolve the marriage. This is not a witness statement. So in that case, the court will ask you to go back and then bring a proper witness statement. So you might
things you don't want to talk about.
Yes. So you might think that is frustration, but that is the procedure. You see.
It is complicated.
It is not.
It's
simple.
Not? It's simple.
Yes.
It is not.
I do not think it is simple. Now, I have another question. Can someone file for divorce on behalf of another person?
Or you, if you give that person a power of attorney. Yes, if there are situations where one party is outside, or sometimes even both parties are outside, but they want to do the divorce in Ghana. It's cheaper to.
Or the marriage was celebrated here.
Celebrated here. So you can both appoint attorneys. Then those people can, if you even want them to give evidence on your behalf, they can do all that. But you have to be careful, because whatever your attorney says and does binds you.
Okay.
So I would take the situation where you can't come until it's trial.
Yeah.
I will do that, but I won't advise that your attorney goes into the box on your behalf, because if they ask him or her a question, he says, I don't know, it means it is you who doesn't know.
Yes. He has not lived in the marriage.
Yes, exactly.
Norbert says, in a situation where a couple in a marriage want to go through a divorce, but the lady, why is this in the lady? But the lady can't afford to pay the legal fees, or the man can't pay the legal fees. Is the other party allowed to maybe pay for the other one?
You can actually ask the court to order the party to pay your legal fees.
Why?
It's a relief.
Oh yes, you can ask for it. So you are not working, but
you want a divorce.
Oh, if you can't stay in the relationship, it cannot be because you are not working.
Okay.
So life and death, or you, whatever it is that is pushing you out, you have to leave. But you can't afford legal fees. As part of your relief, you can ask the court to order your partner, your spouse, to pay your legal fees. But you have to be careful. You have to lead evidence to prove your means. Otherwise, the judge will not grant that relief. Everything that you ask for, you have to prove it. So if you say the court should order your spouse to pay your legal bills, but you don't lead any evidence in court to show what you do, how much you earn, if at all, you won't get that relief.
And also there's legal aid.
Yes.
What's that?
Legal aid. Oh, it's an institution that helps people who cannot pay legal fees.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go to them and then they'll help you with your case.
Okay. So are some divorce cases done on pro bono?
Oh, yes.
We've done a
A
few
lot.
of them.
Oh, okay. We're wrapping up. Child support. Is there anything like that in Ghana?
Yes. So far as there are issues of custody, one person will have custody of the children. There must be child support. There must be one party supporting the other. If the two of us are together in the marriage, we'll support each other to take care of the children.
Yes,
but
yes.
if the children are with one party, then there's supposed to be child support from the other party to support the kids as they grow up, their school fees. It depends. It's an order that is given by the court. So maybe their school fees, how is it supposed to be paid? If maybe the mother or the father, one party will maybe bring 40%, another party 60% towards the school fees, or one party is supposed to pay the school fees. It's all an agreement that maybe the parties might come to, or the court will order.
But who checks that? Who checks that whoever is obliged to pay child support or whatever contributions you have been taxed to pay, who checks that you are actually doing it?
Oh, if you are not doing it, your partner can go back to court.
So if my partner doesn't go, I can be walking around.
Oh,
free.
yes. You know, there's one thing that someone told me several years ago when I started practice. Matrimonial cases where there are children, they never end until the children are grown, until the children attain the age of majority. Because they are schooling, they'll fall sick, hospital bills, those things. So if you don't pay, and often the courts also review the payments. If it is given and you think that for the rest of the growing period you'll be paying 500, no.
Okay.
So as and when there are changes, they review them, and yes.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you
is
too.
free legal. How much would you have charged if it was not a live show? I'd come to you in your chambers.
Wait, I'll send a
bill?
I'll send an invoice, then you see it. You want to know. You want to know, so I'll send an invoice.
But we really, really appreciate this.
Very well.
Me especially, I really appreciate it because I don't think I would have had anyone, give full insight on something like this. Like I said, I always had movie ideas. They print the papers, they go and subpoena this, they go and subpoena that, there's a disposition, you sign papers. But today I know you don't sign papers in a divorce proceeding. The court orders it. It's not up to one party to decide if they are granting the divorce or not. And the court actually supports the preservation of the institution of marriage. That's like the most beautiful thing I've found out today. We are very grateful. Lawyer, give me a title to add to your name.
Oh, actually, I just corner is fine.
Yeah, you're minimal.
Oh,
You don't like
yes.
titles.
Oh, no.
But I know said he wants to be called
Actually, in fact, I dislike it so much when people see me outside and call me a lawyer. And every attention is on you. If I'm trying to be myself, counsel, then you have to start become attentive and put up.
Okay, so I want you to dislike it. So thank you, lawyer. Good. And thank you, lawyer Sedi. I'm so happy you have my name. Do you want to be called Sedi too? No, it's fine.
Not exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are really grateful. And we are reminding the entire country, in fact, all our viewers, the Trinity United Church, that the Trinity United Church Youth Choir is organizing an anniversary concert on the 13th of August, which is dubbed Cantate Deo. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Psalm 29 verse 2. It is happening here at the Trinity United Church's auditorium, I beg your pardon, at 5:30 p.m. Come with your friends and family and join us to sing praises to the Lord. I have Counsel Bonnie and Counsel Sedi joining us. Thank you so much. This has been Let's Talk About. We'll see you same time next week. My name has been Sedi Nam Togo Lamadepo. Good night.